Hello, welcome to the video. Let me play this video for you. No sound unfortunately, but still, if you know what this is Helldivers 2, and this is the intro or cinematic, and it is brilliant, absolutely awesome. And I'm playing this at the moment, so if you're online, maybe look out for me. And yeah, I'll let this play out for a little bit, but it's an excellent game. PvP, not PvP, PvE. And the intro is hilarious. There they go, spreading democracy. Who knew? I decided I would love to make something from the game, and I wasn't quite sure what to do, so did a bit of research online and put together this group of images. So in the top left, you've got a medal. This is a stratagem ball. You basically throw it and it lands on the ground, and then your stratagem is delivered onto the planet by your ship. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, this is the capsule that transports you from your super ship down to the planet's surface. So it comes down, wallops into the ground, and you come out the top there. Really cool. I'd love to model that as well. So some more research there. Then I came across these guys, and this is apparently the Thermite grenade. I don't know if I've ever used it in the game, to be honest. And I thought it looked pretty interesting as a game object and as a model. I really like the way this looks here, with its cavity and ambient occlusion. And yeah, so I grabbed these, put them into PureRef as reference. You can barely see it there in game. It's a very low res image, sorry about that. And I should have taken my own screenshots really. But yeah, you can see it looks pretty cool. And I decided I will model that. So without further ado, I'll leave that here and switch over to Blender. Oh look, we're finished. Well, join me in the next video. So this is what I made, and I'm showing you this now so that I can actually take you through each part, quickly break this down for you. So in the outliner, you can see that I've got a collection called Grenade, and in there I've just got these separate bits and pieces. So if I take this one, for example, if I click that and move it to the side, you can see that started out as a cylinder, basically, right? Nothing too complex there. And after that, some inserts and extrusions, and then I made these holes. I may have used actually a mirror modifier. Yeah, there we go. So mirror modifier just helps us. You can see there, that's what I modeled, and then mirrored it on the other side, and then sub-D'd it like that. And for transparency, I shouldn't really have made this few faces here. I should have actually broken it up a lot more, with a lot more segments. That's that piece there, right? So it's pretty good. Obviously these are just cylinders. We just make one of them, copy it, and then rotate it. And likewise for this part as well. These bits were a little bit more tricky, but only because I tried different ways to do it and was experimenting to find the best way to do that. So I'll take you through all of that, and we'll come back to this as we go through and look at each piece in isolation so we don't get too confused. Let's start with, let's get rid of this collection up here. Firstly, got literally a blank scene, nothing in here. And full disclosure, I will be using my BB TOOLKIT PRO add-on. And you can find that on Blender Market. If you just head over and search for that, you'll find it. There's also a free version, which gives you most of this apart from a few bits and pieces like the array modifier. So if I were to add a cube, it won't give you the radial, it will give you the linear, I believe, not the radial. And yeah, a few other bits and pieces, but overall, it'll give you everything that you see there. So really quite handy, quick shortcuts to just click there. And you don't need this to follow this tutorial or watch the video, just literally do your usual Shift A, does the same thing, or you've got some other options here like wireframe and face orientation, which I've got here just for quick access really. Okay, so you don't need to use that. Feel free to use whichever method you like, but I'm going to use it as I go through this video, so just be aware of that. I'm also going to be using an add-on that comes shipped with Blender, and I'm sure you've all heard of this many times, called Loop Tools. So I recommend that you enable that. It's really good. and it gives you a lot of features. And you can find that once you've installed it. Edit. There it is. Oh my goodness. It's at the top there under Edit. Oh, so many things to remember. Right. So there it is. And you've got all the options there. If not, you right click and select Loop Tools. It's got a menu there now, context menu. You can see there, these are the same as these options there. Okay. Let's delete that again. And let's start with that one piece that I showed you earlier, which is this one here. So I might as well move it back actually, just to the side there. And let's focus in on that. And we've got a 16-sided cylinder. Let's switch to the top view by pressing 7 on the numpad. And speaking of, I haven't turned on the keys, have I? Let's do that with this one. Yet another keyboard key displayer. It's pretty cool. So now we can see my key presses. So from the top view, you can see there we've got 1, 2, counting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times 4, 16. So we've got a 16-side cylinder. All right. And we'll recreate this shape. So let's add a cylinder. Do that with Shift A as well, obviously. And I'm going to put 16 vertices there. And maybe we can make the radius 0.5. I know it's huge, too big, but oh well, let's just leave it at that for now. You should really ideally model at the correct scale, or you can scale them all afterwards. But either way, let's just do that. And let's just make that something like that. And by the way, it's a good idea to also have your reference material open. If you're modeling something like this, find an image that's good quality and perhaps load that into Blender actually, and refer to that as you go along. So I believe I actually had it loaded here somewhere as an image, an image window. So I can just load an image and then just keep an eye on it. But I try and do this without doing that today. So here's our cylinder anyway. We've got 16 sides, and let's start off by making these square firstly. So I'm going to scale that in the Z axis and get it roughly looking square. Why not? And of course, because we've done that in object mode, we now have non-uniform scale. You can see there in the Z axis. Never a good thing. And luckily, my toolkit can recognize this the moment it goes off scale or non-uniform. Any of the transforms really, it goes red, okay, or any other color that your theme is using in Blender. So to apply a scale, you can press Control A, and that opens the apply menu. You can hit scale, or you can just click this button there. Very simple. So I hit that button there and we're good to go. Right, so let's tab into edit mode, and before we continue, let's split it down the middle and add a mirror modifier. It makes our job a little bit easier. In edit mode, Control R will add a loop cut. I want to click in the middle and then right click to leave it there in place in the middle. And let's select the bottom face there. And rather than selecting these manually like that with Alt Shift click, you can select the one at the bottom if you like and just press Control plus, and that will basically grow the selection. So now we've got those selected. Let's press delete faces. And there we've got our single half object. So I'm going to add a mirror modifier. I'm going to use the toolkit there. I'm going to set it to object. We want it to go up and down the mirror axis. So Z, and then clipping on and select or click add. And all that's done is add a mirror modifier with those parameters that you've selected there. Just close that. In fact, I'll close that as well. And maybe the lights as well for now. We don't need those. Make that a little bit smaller. So now we've got our mirror modifier there. We can start working away at this. So with that selected, I'm going to press I to inset. And let's make it around that. Let's just check that one again. So it goes in a bit and goes up. If I switch to the front view, you can see it goes in, but it also goes up a little bit. And then up again, and then another angle there. All right. So maybe roughly where this face meets, give or take, doesn't really matter. So we've got it in there now. Let's move it up. Let's go to front view and move it up a little bit. Something like that. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. So I'll scale that in a touch. Something like that is good. Now we can press E to extrude, bring that out. And again, we should be looking at our reference material here. So maybe I'll use this one as a reference. You can see it goes, we've done this bit here, it goes in and up and then in again. So let's do that bit there now. So with that done, we can press I again, something like that, and we can move that up. Oh, I'm playing the animation. Oh gosh. Yeah, spacebar is play animation, so you lose your transform gizmos as soon as you start playing. Right, so we go. Let's move that in front view. Let's move that up, something like that, and let's bring that roughly in line with that, a little bit smaller, like we saw earlier. Something like that is good. So now we have this shape. We've got a bit of an inset there, and the reason I say that is because when we look at over here, it goes in a little bit, and then we have a recess where these components fit inside that. So a good tip when you're modeling something like this, it's not just one model, one piece, okay? That's not how it would have been made in the real world. If this existed, it would be made of separate components. So that's how you want to approach it when you're modeling something like this, or anything for that matter. So let's switch back to that and select this face and press I to inset. I'm going to give it a nice thick inset there. And then to extrude, I'm going to press E, and that will naturally go up and down like that. And let's give that something like that. But I do want these to be rounded. And the problem is, if we add a generate subdivision surface modifier, I can also do that here. Maybe add 2 levels, click add. Let's right click and do shade smooth, why not? You can see if I add this mirror subdivision modifier, it also smooths the outside of these facets, okay? I want this to be nice and round, but I don't want these to be rounded as well. I want to keep them flat, basically. Let's turn off this and also our mirror modifier. And with that done, I'm going to go back to shade flat for that for now. And I'm also going to turn on wireframe. If you don't have the add-on, very simply go up to this menu here, and you can see there we have wireframe to toggle just there. Okay, so we're in my edit mode now. So tab to edit mode, and first of all, let's select that face and delete it for now. Don't really need that at this point. And what I'm going to do is select all of these. I'm going to switch to edge mode. And I alt click and then shift alt click all of these loops that run around the whole cylinder. So with those selected, I'm going to do Control B and pull out, and we get this. And I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel to get 2 segments like that. That would do. And it's important now we think about the bevel options that pop up in the bottom left operator. And meter outer, I'm going to switch it to arc anyway, just because it won't make any difference here, but arc is way better than sharp. Trust me on that one. If not, check out my video on how to bevel like a pro. That's really important, setting that. And I'm also going to add a setting, or a shape I should say, of 1 here, and the segments, as I said, 2. And the reason the shape is important is if I switch to the top view and I zoom in to one of these, where these facets or faces meet here, but if this was 0.5, if I can find the period key, you can see it rounds it off. It's not a big deal, it's only a bit, but it does round it off. So our subdivision modifier will make this a bit smoother than perhaps you'd like. So I'm going to put that to 1, and that just adds these edge loops either side of the edge loops we've already started with. Okay. Again, it's a common technique I use for most things. So you do that once, do it a few times, and you pretty much use it for most things. So with that done, we're also going to do these edges and these ones and these ones. We'll worry about this later. All right. And that one as well, because we really want to hold these edges and give them some nice highlights like this. You can see we've got some nice highlights edging. If I turn off cavity, you can still make out the shape as it catches the light. So bevels are really important. Let me just turn that back on because I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to alt click this loop now, and this one and this one. and that one here, and let's do these for now and come back to this one in a second. Let's just do these ones which are easy. So Control B, this will inherit the last options we used, the last settings I should say, for the bevel modifier, you can see there. And I think that may be okay, maybe a little bit smaller, something like that. That's cool. So what happens if we add this now, and a mirror modifier, and turn off wireframe, and turn shade smooth on? That looks way better than it did before. It's not ruined in any way, shape or form. It's a bit funky there, but we'll sort that out next. And there's a reason why I've mentioned loop tools earlier on, because we'll need that to make that into a lovely circle. So let's turn that back off again. In fact, I'm going to select in edit mode, I'm going to select these inner faces and actually delete them. Let's try that. I don't remember exactly how I made that. Let's try this one. So now we've got all of these tight bevels there. We don't want that to be like that. We want it to be spaced out. This is where loop tools shines. So I'm going to select all of these vertices there by alt clicking on that edge. And if we head over to edit, you can see loop tools there has a circle option. All right. So if you click that, that will turn it into a circle, but it has gone a little bit weird. Like you can see from the top, it's kind of rotated them and spaced them out in a weird way. So what I may have done there is simply gone into the top view, press R to rotate, and get that to line up, something like that. Oops, you can see it's a little bit off there. Let's use that as our middle point actually. I'm going to rotate that. Hold down Shift as I rotate, and we get a much finer control. And that looks pretty good. With that done, if we turn this on now, our subdivision, you can see this is nicely rounded and this is all nicely kept sharp like we wanted it to. Okay, it looks pretty cool. After that, it's a simple case of maybe clicking and selecting this edge loop there. And let's make this a little bit, oops, what am I doing? Stop. I wanted to switch this to, I wrote it on theme, let's change it to object, no. World, yeah, let's put world. You can see that a bit nicer, I think, a bit easier. So with that edge loop selected, I'm going to press E to extrude. And obviously that's going to go in all directions at the moment. And I'm going to press Z for the Z axis and just bring that down inside like that. Cool. And let's now alt click this edge loop. Let's turn off subdiv. Let's select this loop here and Control B to give it some support in edge loops like that. And with that done, we have a lovely clean shape to work with. So I'm going to select that edge loop there, and instead of pressing F to fill, and first of all, let's create a small inset. Okay. So I'm going to E to extrude, and then without doing anything, press S to scale and bring that in just to give it a little bit of support there. Okay. And now we've got this hole. I'm going to go up to face, grid fill. And there you go. That fills it with a lovely grid. And in the bottom options there, simple blending, you can turn that on. And pay attention to what's happening here. Look, this gap is quite small, okay, compared to the rest of it here. It kind of bulges out. It looks spherical, but it's flat, right? It looks like a ball. But if we turn simple blending on, that interpolates the distance between some of these. It's not perfect. You can see that that edge is longer than this one, but it's better than that at the edges, I think. Anyway, I could be wrong. You can play with these values, but this is good enough for our purposes. And the last thing we need to do is add another bevel just there. So Control B, add a couple of support loops just there. And with that done, let's turn off the wireframe, turn on subdivision modifier, and there you go. Oh, and mirror. And by the way, don't forget to save your work. So I'm going to hit Control S. And also, very important, there's a reason why this is here, this face orientation. Make sure you check that as you work along, simply because if you're extruding and doing insets, not insets, if you're extruding, it may flip the faces the wrong way. So if you see red like that, you know they're facing the wrong way. If you're looking from the outside, you can see red. That's not good. The red should be on the inside of the face. Okay. If you know, again, if you haven't got this add-on, head over to this menu here. You can click on face orientation. Okay. Cool. Now, just for a second, put on your maths cap on, because we're going to do a little bit of calculating now before we do the whole. And there's a reason for it, and you'll understand why in a couple of minutes, I think. So, are you ready? Obviously, a circle is 360 degrees. Okay. And we've got 16 sides, right? Let's do 16. So we've got 360, we've got 16. So if we divide this by that, I'm just going to bring up the calculator. Why not? Just so we can see that in action. So 360 divided by 16 gives us 22.5. So let's write down 22.5. So what does that mean? These are angles, right? These are sides. So that basically means each of these faces, 16 faces, is effectively rotated 22.5 degrees all around the cylinder to make it a perfect cylinder. So we now know this is 22.5 degrees. So guess what we have to do if we want this to be straight with our axes in the world? Rotate this by half of this value, because this is 22. So we want to rotate it halfway and just divide that by 2. So you get 11.25 degrees. Don't you just love maths? I do. So, do I? I don't know. I'm going to erase all that. But yeah, take a screenshot there if you like. Basically, 11.25 is what we want to rotate it by. So let's delete all that. That is so cool. Annotation. So another save. I'm going to switch to top view, and I could do this in object mode or edit mode. But if you do it in object mode, just don't forget to apply your rotation. Okay. And in this instance, I'm actually going to do it in. I'm going to do it in edit mode. Why not? I'm going to turn off these modifiers. We don't need those right now. So I'm going to go to the top view. Oops. The other top view. Switch to vertex mode. And just so we can see everything is selected, I'm going to switch to wireframe or X-ray. There's wireframe and there's X-ray. And I'm going to press the A key to select everything. A for all. Toggle it to turn everything off, to deselect everything. So I'm going to press A, and then I'm going to press R for rotate. Because we're looking from the top view, I don't have to press Z, because we're already looking down from the Z axis, right? So I'm going to press R, and you can see there, if you look here, this is roughly straight. If we look over, once we commit that, you can look over here, we've got 10.8981. That's not 11.25. So simply just type in 11.25. You can see that's on the Z axis. There we go. Now we tap back to object mode. You can see if we go to the front view, that's now facing us right down the middle. So save it now. Save it. Good idea to save it. And I'm also going to create a new collection called backups. So important to have these backups, and I'm going to create another collection called grenade. I can spell, not grenade, grenade, and drop that in there. Let's give this a name. Let's call it plate TB base. Don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking. Did I really call it that? I did. Anyway, so let's get rid of that. Oops, wrong one. Let's go to that one. So there's our TB. Now let's copy that and put it into backups, because we want to make sure we don't screw this up. If we do screw it up, I have been known to do that. We can just get back a duplicate, right? So Shift D, duplicate it, right click, leave it there. Now we've got 2, you can see there. Let's drag that into backups, and let's disable that collection by doing that. Yay. Save your file. Can't stress that enough. Right. Now, we're going to make this hole here. Let's just copy, go to the front view, and I'm going to select this row of faces here, these guys. Just use that as the components we're going to build off for all the other parts as well. So let's have a look at what we need. So we just need the whole part first. And we need this part as well, but it needs to follow this shape as well, right? Because it cuts into it. As you can see there, that follows the shape. It's not, I don't know why it would be like that in real life. I made it a separate piece. So I'm going to copy this. So you can select these faces like that. Let's turn off our modifiers. Select these faces here. So we've got these selected. We don't need the ones over here. And we're going to duplicate those. So Shift D. We've got a copy of those. And I'm going to separate them into a new object. At the moment, they're still part of this plate TB base. So I'm going to press P for separate by selection. So I'm going to separate that out. If I tab back to object mode, there's the piece we just separated out, the faces, and here's our original base. So there's our original base, and there's the bit we just duplicated and split off into a separate object. So now we can use that one to make these parts as well, and we need two different types. So we can make two copies of that later on. Let's turn our attention back to this one now. And in fact, what I'm going to do is copy this one here. Let's make that, let's just call that hole. I'm going to copy that, right click, and I'm going to move that to the right there. And then Shift D again, move that there. So now we've got three hole parts. This one is going to be, let's call that 2 bolts. And this one's going to be 1 bolt. Okay, so we've got the whole one. That's going to be a whole piece. A 1 bolt piece is going to be that one there. Then we've got the 2 bolts, which is going to be that one there. Cool. Let's do the whole one. That's quite easy. So we know from the reference that the whole piece, the whole actually, I should say, is actually part of this component. It's not a separate piece. So the whole is inside this large cylinder. So we can just do that directly on this piece as it is. All right. So I'm going to tap into edit mode. I'm going to select this face there. Let's turn on mirror modifier. So we can see, now we can see we've got a square there. Okay. Now for this next part, I'm going to apply the mirror modifier. Make it a little bit easier. So back into object mode, we're going to click apply mirror modifier. If we tap into edit mode, we've got these faces now. With those selected, I'm going to press I to insert. In fact, we could, let's do it another way. Let's undo that. If you do insert and then right click, it's going to do the insert and leave them, I think, where they are. I'm not sure, I could be wrong. But I'm going to undo that. Let's make sure we've got, yeah. So instead of doing that, I'm actually going to add a loop cut, 2 loop cuts there. Right click to leave them in place. And then 1 loop cut there, 1 loop cut there. Now we've got all of these separate parts here, right? Now I'm going to select these 2 faces in the middle. Let's switch to the front view. Let's press SX, S for scale, X for the X-axis. And let's also put in a loop cut down the middle. Something like that. Okay. Now we've got, if we switch to vertex mode, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got a circular. You can add more. You can literally just like subdivide these and add more vertices if you like. Leave it up to you. I want to undo that. I'm just going to stick with this for now. It's fine. And while I'm at it, let's delete these faces here in the middle. Don't have to do this, but I think it makes it a little bit easier to see what we're doing with this. So we've got the hole there now. We want that to be rounded. So I'm going to loop click, alt click to select these guys. This vertex loop. And then I'm going to click circle. Ta-da! If we turn on our subdivision, You've got a lovely hole in the middle. How cool is that? So I'm going to select this edge loop here. I'm going to press F to fill it actually. In fact, first of all, is that the right size? Probably a little bit bigger it needs to be. Let's bring that out. Something like that. I'm going to press F to fill that gap. And the reason I've done that is because now I can press EI to inset and just give it a supporting edge loop around the edge there. So when we turn this back on, it's going to become very smooth. So now we've got that. We're going to press E to extrude, and that's going to go in that way, in the that axis, which is the Y axis. And we're going to bring it in about so much. Okay, bring it in as far as you like, but I'm going to leave it there so we get a square quad there as best we can anyway. Something like that. And let's press inset again there. Something like that. And don't forget, if you turn on the subdiv, it might look all right, but this is actually a lot smoother than it needs to be as it is on the back there. So the reason that is because we only added one supporting edge loop on the outside. So we need to just add another one. Remember, either side is how it works normally. So you can add one with Control R, click and drag, and place it somewhere there, like that. Let's do the same at the bottom there, because at the moment it's kind of flat, as you can see here. So let's add one here as well. So we've got one there and one there. That probably needs to go a bit further. So press GG twice to slide that along, something like that. That'll do. Now if we turn on our subdiv, that looks fantastic. Don't worry about these parts here. So that's good. We've done this part now. Oh, we didn't check our face orientation. Let's do that. It's always fun. Fun never ends, eh? So yeah, all blue, all looking good. Cool. Courtesy of my add-on. That was so bad, I'm sorry. Right. So here's the face of our cylinders there. Right, there's our faces there. And this isn't as big as that. So we just need to make this shape which follows that profile, right? So the easiest way to do that is to borrow that shape there, those faces, and just trim them and then extrude them out. That's what I did. So that worked for me. So when you look at these, they're actually like that. They're actually pieces of metal or whatever they want to be. That actually makes sense if you built that in the real world, right? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take that. Let's stop talking Theo, because I tend to do that too much. And let's create some loop cuts down the middle. Should we? Yeah. Let's do 2 loop cuts. This is a bit that I must have tried about 4 or 5 times actually to find the best way to do it. So I'll put 2 loop cuts in the end, I think. I press S and X to scale them out. So that's becoming the width of the component we want to add to the side. And if we switch to the front view, obviously these edge loops are going to follow the profile or this shape here, which you don't want. We want this to be straight, okay? So we might as well, while we're here, let's just select this edge loop here. So I'm going to press S, then X, and then 0, enter. And that will flatten it out on the X-axis. Let's do that as well. S, X, 0, enter. If I just go back to this, you can see now we've got the width. We need to trim this part away because we don't need all that at the top there. All right, took dead space. So that's that bit there. So quite simply add another loop cut and bring it down to whereabouts you want it to stop. Something like that. So the only parts we need now are these parts. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these bevels, right? This is why we did, if you remember when we did the bevel, we did the shape set to 1. And that means it didn't smooth them out, which means we can simply just get rid of these now because it didn't change the shape, right? It's the original shape. So with those selected, you can press Control Delete or press Delete and do Dissolve Edges. Now we're back to those as well. We're back to the original shape we had when we first made it without the bevels. which is great because now we can select these faces now. Now we can do Alt E. Let's try that again and bring that out like that. I'm going to try this method actually. Yeah, let's try that. Excuse me. And of course, it's going to add a face there as well, which we really don't want, because if you add the mirror modifier, you now have a join in the middle. You can see there we have a join. It's not good. So delete that face. And that will now merge correctly. Okay. Anyway, we got that. That's great. Let's shade flat. You can see it better. And with that selected, let's get rid of all the stuff we don't need. Let's get rid of this, that. Yep, we don't need these. Delete. See where I'm going with this? Right? Making sense? Let's look at that piece again. So it obviously it's got the profile there, which is fine. It goes flat at the top, then at an angle, and then straight down. So we need to make that into a different shape. You can see it's not even straight or anything. It's really wonky. So we need to make that go straight up, straight there, down, and then down this way. Not like that though. So let's do that. In edit mode. It's best to have X-ray mode on or wireframe mode. And first of all, let's select these. And we've got both of these now on both sides, front and back, or side, I should say. And this time we're going to scale it in the y-axis. So SY0, enter. We also want these, but let's flatten these parts here first. So these ones are going to flatten on the z-axis. So SZ0, enter. Bring that out there, something like that. Now we want to flatten these. In fact, no, we don't want to flatten these. We want to bring these in line with that one. You don't want to move that, right? Because that follows the profile of our what do you call it? Our T-base. Oops. So you can do that by eye. Like just do that. Try and match it up. There. That's good enough. But if it was there, best you might as well use snapping. So the snapping menu is there, and by default it's set to the grid increment. Okay. We want vertex snapping because we want to snap these to that, but not literally. You want to move them just in the y-axis. So I'm going to select these. Yeah, make sure you have both of these, and I'm going to turn snapping on. And if I click the green arrow to restrict it on this axis and move my mouse pointer down here, it snaps there. Cool. Let's do the same for these two. Let's make sure they're flat first. So SY0, enter. And I'm going to move these. Remember, we've got snapping on, and move my mouse there. Cool. Because we can just literally just grab that edge and move it. Obvious, huh? I'll move it a little bit more. You could go all the way to there, but I'm gonna, could do. I don't know, leave it there. And that's too far actually, because remember we've got a triangle, we've got a quad here. So I want to make sure it's almost straight. I want to make it more angled like that. You can see we have a quad. That's pretty cool. So now we have that. Right. Now we need to make, now we've got that shape. Don't forget we need two of these. We need that one and we need this one. Same overall shape, but different holes. So now we've done all of this work. Let's save that. And let's duplicate that. Shift D. Let's move it to the right. Let's make a copy of that as well. So Shift D and then drag it into backups. Let's tap into edit mode and let's add maybe a couple of loop cuts, or 3 actually. Let's do 3. For this exercise, let's do 3. Can we do loop cuts there? Yeah, we can. Let's add 2. Like before, we're going to select these faces here, delete them, And then I'm going to switch to vertex mode and alt click in that hole there. Let's see what happens if we do right click loop tools, circle. Let's bring that there. Hey, look at that. That's pretty good, huh? That worked a treat. Let's maybe scale that up a little bit. Like that. That's pretty good. And like before, we're going to press F to fill, I to insert, and then E to extrude, bring that in. Don't go too far because in theory that shouldn't go further than that point there. And at the moment we're almost clipping that, so it probably needs to be a little bit less. Something like that. That would do. Let's bring that back to solid mode. Obviously if we turn on our mirror modifier we get that, and then we turn our subdiv, shade smooth, we get some soft looking metallic thing-ish. So let's turn off our subdivision and our mirror modifier. And like before, we need to add a couple of support loops in here. Hold that corner there. So Control R, let's bring that in, something like that. Let's select this face and press I to insert. Let's bring that in, something like that. What I'm going to do here, but before I do that, let's add a loop cut just there. Maybe we don't need to do that, but let's do it anyway. Let's just do that. And let's select that face, press E to extrude, and I'll bring it out again. Because we have snapping, if you remember we set it to vertex, I'm going to hold down the control key and then move my mouse over a vertex and snap it there. Now it's flush with that side there. Now we have that. And again, if we turn this on, it's very smooth, but this is all smoothed out too much, as are these. So let's add a few more support loops. Let's select this edge ring here and do Control B. Scroll the wheel to get 2 segments. And then test it. That looks pretty good. We could do the bit in the middle in there as well, because that's all been smoothed out. You can see it's all very smooth. You don't really need that. So probably better to actually take these edges here that sits right at the bottom in there, in the valley. Let's make these creases. So mean crease to 1. And in theory, if we turn this on, that should keep it, yeah, that keeps it quite tight, as you can see. Doesn't look great, but it's good enough because it's hidden in that recess. Cool, that looks good. So let's figure out how we can do that. Let's save that. And also make a copy. So Shift D again, put it into backups. So if this gets messed up now, we can go back to a previous version. Let's tab into edit mode. Whoops. Tab into edit mode. He says, there we go. So let's select all of our leading edges. And to do that, in fact, we need to fill these as well, don't we? So let's select, let's do that as well. Let's select this edge. So we've got that edge there. This edge. Like that. And let's press F. We can select this one, this edge here, and press F. That will fill downwards like that. And we need to add a cut here as well. So Control R, that's a large, the reason it's not going all the way, if I click that, is because this is a large N-gon. It's got more than 4 sides. These ones don't. So we can add a control loop there, loop cuts there, but we can't add it there. We also cut these manually. So I'm going to use the knife tool by pressing K. There, click there, right click, and then continue cutting. Once you're finished, press enter. There you go. Now we have that. So let's go back to our edges and let's select this, alt click and select that. Hold down Shift and Alt. Select these. We don't need to bevel this one because that's, don't forget we have the mirror modifier. Shift Alt and click these. and this one. Oops, we don't want to select, do we? No, we don't have to. Let's just go with not selecting these for now. See what happens. We'll select these as well. Just hold down Shift and do that. Okay, and that one as well. Okay, cool. Let's make sure we have all those selected. And with that done, let's do Control B and just add some support loops. Now, these are really messy. Not good, so I'm going to undo that and deselect everything. And the reason it's doing that is because these edges are throwing it off. Let's select these and dissolve them. Control delete. Now you just have one large end on either side. That will make the bevel work a lot better. This one, we don't actually need these right at this position, so I'm going to move these down by pressing GG, and I'm going to snap it to that one there. So that keeps it nice and in line with that one. So GG to slide, and then hold down Control to invoke the snapping to vertex. Right, let's go back to selecting these edges. Should be fairly quick because it's not that many of them. Like that. Have I missed any? I don't think I have. Let's do Control B and make that something like that. Let's turn on our subdivision modifier. Good news, it's worked mostly. Mirror as well. But there's obviously some glitches going on here. We need to help Blender understand this a little bit better. Let's help Blender along by making some more cuts here. And you can check out my video actually, make holes like a pro, or make cutouts like a pro. Check it out, it shows you exactly how why this happens and how you can fix it. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm going to use the knife tool again, I think. So I press K. Let's make a cut from that vertex there to that one there. Right click, and then let's do another cut there. Right click, and one there. Makes sense, right? Let's do one here, and there. Oops, that was it in the middle. Let's try that again. Let's do that again. Click there, there. Or not. Oh my goodness, I'm going back too far now. There you go. Let's do those. Let's do that one there. And then this one here. And let's see what happens. Maybe we don't need these. Let's enter for that. Let's press enter. And we need to do the other side as well. In fact, you can split this into two if you like, use a mirror modifier. Quite happily do that. And while we're at it, let's just cut that as well there. Like that. So I'm just going to cut this manually for now anyway.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, I'm still not sure about these. I don't know why they're there. I can't remember now. I don't think we need them. Let's get rid of them. So select these and Control delete. Let's do that. And let's turn that on now. Yay! Now we've got the whole piece. Let's move that just so we can see it. So we've got that piece there, which is one of these. We've got that piece there. We've got that piece there, which will have the hole there. So like before, we need to apply the mirror modifier. I think before I do that, I'm going to add a loop cut actually down the middle there. Maybe add 2. Nah, let's add 1 like that. And let's add 2 that way. Just thinking about that. Yeah, let's just go with that for now. Nope, one more there. I want to select these actually. Press SX and bring them out like that, and then put one in the middle. I did that really badly, didn't I? Let's do that again. Let's do 3 that way, and then 3 that way. Yeah, let's do that. Let's apply the mirror modifier. like before, it makes it a little bit easier. Let's apply that. And we can use all of these to make a hole. In fact, all of those, because it's flipped, mirrored. So we've got a lot more vertices to work with. Let's try that. Let's delete those faces. Now we've got this hole there. I'm going to switch to vertex mode so we can see it a little bit clearer. Alt click that lot and let's go to right click, loop tools, circle. Yay, that's working really well. So in the front view, we've got this lovely circle now. I'm going to select that. That's probably way too close to the edge. So let's scale that in. Something like that. And as before, we're going to press F to fill, I to insert. That becomes one of our holding edge loops there. And then E to extrude. And bring that back. Again, not too far because it shouldn't really go through. Mind you, yeah, it shouldn't really go through too far. It's maybe about there. In fact, I did get rid of this actually. Yeah, sorry. If I move that and snap it to that point there, so it's flush with that. I actually deleted that afterwards. I'll show you why. Let's do I for insert. Okay. And then I'm going to do E to extrude and bring that out and snap it that far out. Okay. And what I did, I remember this. I took this bridge and deleted it. And we've got a much better topology as well here with this circle. So when we do the subdiv, it just looks rubbish, but it just looks a lot rounder than the one I did earlier. So because we have more vertices to work with instead of a hexagon. Anyway, what that's left to do now is make this look a bit tidier. So let's select this edge loop there and Control B, give it some support edge loops. We take that face and do I for insert. We've got a hexagon shape there. I'll leave it circular. If you want to make a hexagonal, that's pretty straightforward. You can just go in and scale these on the Z, scale these on the X, that's X. Okay, might as well do it now, we've done it. So now you've got that. Press C key to get the selection brush. Move your mouse wheel, scroll your mouse wheel to change the size. So I'm going to select, paint select these, right click to make your selection. And I'm going to use loop tools and do space. Oh, that's kind of rotated them. I don't want to do that. And we can leave it like this, doesn't really matter. I might slide them by pressing GG. So they're roughly in the middle. Keep it nice and clean. And then we can select that face. It's not a perfect hexagon, but whatever. You get the idea. I'm going to press I to insert again. E to extrude. And we want to go far. How far back do we want to go? Might as well go back that far. There we go. A little bit less because it's going to clip. Let's leave it there. And like before, let's add a support loop there. A support loop there. Select this back face, which we may not need, but let's do that, keep it anyway. Press I to insert, like that. And now we have this. To make our life a bit easier, oops, let's bring back our mirror modifier. So switch to wireframe mode and select half of it. Delete these vertices. And then I'm going to add a mirror, object Z, clip-in, add. Let's put that before the subdiv. So click and drag that up. Now we have that. So let's go into edit mode. Makes sense to connect these two. Excuse me, F there. And let's try F here. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. Let's select these ones. Now we may need to, we'll worry about this after, but let's just see if we can get this to work. Let's press F Let's put an end on here actually. See if it works. Yeah, press F. It's not an end on. That's actually. Oh, I've selected something wrong. So yeah, that one there, that one, and that one. There we go. Got an end on, but don't worry about that for now. There we go. Let's turn off the mirror modifier. What did I do with my face? Did I delete that? I think I did by mistake. There. I didn't even notice. Huh? Let's just fill that back up again. Press F. And we can use the knife tool to make a cut there. Enter. And we're going to make a cut there as well. So I'm going to press K again. A, or just Z actually, Z. And then click at the bottom there. Enter. And let's just delete these. Control delete. Oh, that's nasty. Eesh. Let's not worry about it. Let's just get rid of these. Control delete. And now we can select those. Alt click. And shift click. Lovely. Okay. Awesome. Of course, we do that because the other laptop is not okay with the flat line. It's all pretty flat. It doesn't matter. It's not. It's trying to terminate on the edge. Inside this empty space. That's fine. Turn it on now. You can see. That looks pretty darn good. I think. I don't know. Let me know. Cool. That looks rubbish. Look at that. Yeah, you see, I should have just kept it as a circle. Listen to me. To fix that, if you want to keep that as a hexagon, you'd have to put some more bevels in here. So you select that one, and then that one, whoops, that one, and this one. And that one there, but we've got a mirror. So we need to apply it first. If you wanted to do that, do Control B and do that basically. That will hold the corner. Then you can select these two and merge them at last, like that. Alright. And if we turn that on, that's going to be nice and tight, but this isn't, of course. But if we were to apply this, and now you can select this edge and do the same thing there, like that, and Control B and bevel it out, and then merge these at last. Shift R to repeat the last operation. There we go. And there you go. Bob's your uncle, if you have an uncle called Bob. Cool. Save that. That looks good. Apart from that bit there. What did I do? Okay, we need to have, we need a bevel, don't we? On this edge here. Because that actually goes to the front. It's a complete object. Manifold object, I should say. So let's do that. Add a control. Control loops and ta-da! I forgot about these ones in the middle. Let's just do these. Right, 1, 2, 3. Merge at last. It's terrible topology, but it works. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, let's leave it like that. That's fine. As long as it looks okay. Let's check face orientation. That's fine, because that's the back side of it. Yeah, all looking very good. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. And in the next video, I will show you how to create this component. In fact, how to create both of these, all of these versions completely finished, including these elements here. And then the rest of it will just trickle through very quickly, hopefully. Right, with that, thanks for watching. And if you like the content I make, please do consider hitting subscribe and the like button. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.